Hello. Alright, so I'm a little late making this video, so by like a week. So I'm going to be doing two videos this week. Next one will be posted in the next couple days. That one's going to be a bit more practice oriented. I'm going to guide you through some meditation and some somatic experiencing stuff, so stay tuned. In the meantime, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the path of the Noble Spirit, so the school that I'm in the midst of creating and building. It is, like I said in my last video, it's an epic creation that I'm slowly coming along. But what is it? And what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What is it that you will experience when you sign up for a workshop or an online program, or come to one of my intensives, or come and practice with me here in Bali at some point? Like, what is it that I'm moving you towards, or what is it that we are trying to do as noble spirits? So I was just gonna like read out some of the things that I've written as my own like personal manifesto as I've started to formulate my mind around. Oh, hi, kitty. Formulate my mind around what it is that I'm doing. Hi. Wanna say hi? Can you see her? Yeah, you can see her. Hi, sweetie. All right, so my manifesto. We, as noble spirits, acknowledge that we are living in times where greed, hatred, and cruelty have become normalized and even celebrated. However, we stand firmly that we are also living in times where qualities of kindness, compassion, and going the distance to make a difference are all marbled throughout the world, and we aim to be part of that. Imbued with honor, integrity, bravery, sanity, and kindness. We aim for health not just in body, but also in mind, spirit, relationship, community, and in the work and how we are in the world. We live by the understanding that all humans, even the ones that mess it up sometimes, all humans are doing their best to live meaningful lives in the face of death and an unknown future. We live by the understanding that all humans are perfect in their humanness, including ourselves, which means embracing the whole of the human experience, even the painful parts, even the parts that we would like to keep in shadow. The more compassion we can offer ourselves while also holding ourselves accountable, the more we can offer that to others. It is our humanness, our shared humanity, full of both beauty and pain, that unites us. In this understanding, we have a chance to make a ripple of light in the world. So there's a few components to this that I find really important. And first of all, it's like we becoming a modern day, Knights of the Round Table, a, guild of samurai, superhero in this world, isn't trying to be anything other than what you really are. You are perfect in your imperfections. You are just as fucked up as the rest of us. And that does not discount the beautiful and amazing things that you have to offer the world. You do not have to strive for perfection or even wait until you're completely perfect, until you can start to make a difference in the world, until you can start to actually create a ripple of good in the world. And the truth is that we're going to mess up. We're going to mess up. And that's okay. I think that if we wait until we're ready, we're going to be waiting forever. And another important thing that this kind of manifesto at least hints on a little bit is like right now we are experiencing a quickening in the world on both the more challenging, icky parts as well as the most beautiful parts. We are seeing collectively an intensification of insanity and greed and what's happening environmentally, what's happening socially and politically, like across the globe. Like none of us can open up our social media without being bombarded by information of the horrors. And it's easy for us to fall into despair. And I'm going to talk about despair in a moment because I think that it's actually a really powerful tool. So this is happening in the world, this like quickening of the darkness, but there's also like an activation of the light. Like we are seeing people stand up more than we ever have before. We have people who are yearning and longing that that would normally just keep their heads buried in the sand. Now we're seeing people wanting to rise up, people wanting to come into themselves, people wanting to make a difference, and that's so incredible. But the despair, and the hopelessness and the belief that we are not powerful, the belief that we don't have what it takes, or that we have to wait until we get absolutely everything perfect before we start to do the work to make a difference. If we wait for that, if we swallow in despair, if we allow that to take over, then the darkness wins. Like, we have to start with where we are at, and none of us are perfect. It's when we expect that we should be perfect, or that we should be finished our work, or that we should not have these really icky parts of ourselves, that actually prevents us from coming into our power. It prevents us from doing good work in the world, and fills us with shame and then denial. Because most of us, when we have an idea that you are not worthy until you have X, Y, and Z accomplished, then anytime that we are confronted with a part of ourselves that's not actually the best, we have a shitty personality flaw here, or we tend to be reactive in this way, or we have this wound, or this whatever. The moment we're confronted with those things, we immediately go into either denial, or we can spiral into shame, or we go into aggression and being angry at the people who point us out, or trying to block it away when things in the world kind of show that aspect to us. When instead, when we just totally get rid of the idea that you have to be perfect, when we get rid of the idea that you have to be a perfectly formulated package, a little the dinger goes off on the oven, and then ding ding, here's the little cake of Krista, complete for the world to to be served. When we get rid of that idea and you allow yourself to actually be completely human, completely and utterly human, with your flaws and your pain and your weird quirks that you do when someone makes you mad and you react poorly, when you embrace those parts actually as an essential part of you that you can not just coddle and be oh, I'm an asshole when I'm mad, and oh well, no, we able to face, okay, here's an aspect of myself that's not the greatest, I can bring more awareness to it, and with that awareness I can start to enact a little bit of change here and there, so I'm more in alignment with the person that I know myself to be underneath it all. This is the key, right? We're trying to be more human, fully human, not less than human, or pretending that we're anything other than what we are, because that doesn't do anyone any damn good. And then when we allow ourselves to come to that place of I'm just allowed to be human, and I can view myself as a human, I don't need to be anything other than completely and utterly human, then I'm also able to afford my friends, my family, the people on the internet, and even the people that really break my heart because of the actions that they're doing right now. Those goddamn politicians, motherfuckers. I can see them in their humanness, and while I can hold them accountable, I can hold myself accountable to being more in alignment with what will be accountability. We'll stay there. Or I can hold myself accountable and them accountable. I can also have compassion for myself and compassion for other people. And when we allow ourselves that little bit of space to be just human, then that's when we actually have the opportunity to evolve and change. It's when we are again, to reiterate, the expectation that you must be perfect in order to be worthy, or that you have to have all the ducks in the row and know every single thing, all before you can actually make a difference, that actually prevents us from doing anything. And we tend to hold the same standards to everybody else, and so we're going into blame, and we're going into accusations, and because right now the times we're in, we tend to want someone to point a finger at. We want someone that we can blame. And while we can go into deep discussions about actions do have their effect, and people need to take accountability for them, and we should hold on to that. Again, just coming back to the idea of humanness. So the path of the noble spirit, in one hand, is a school of learning how to be more human, not less human, not with coddling, not with placating, but with compassion, accountability, integrity, honor. All of these things are an essential part of the conversation. Yeah. Okay. Let's read something else. What did I else? What does it actually mean to be a noble spirit? There is a willingness to face ourselves, the world as it is, fully and completely, which requires determination, acceptance, openness, and courage. We awaken ourselves to having vision while also being present, holding accountability and compassion in equal measure. We surrender the idea that the world should look like our preferences for it. We shed the concept that others should behave in the way that we want. Instead, what we do instead is continuously come back to the practices and the understanding that is rooted in our hearts, our ethics. We can be rooted in integrity and honor regardless of how the world responds to us or how the world unfolds around us. In fact, the deeper we root into our truth, the more we root into like that place of integrity, that place of of truth, the more the world does in fact begin to mirror that back to us. We understand that all the sickness, pain, hatred, greed, and suffering that we see in the world right now also has seeds within us. The truth is that we would not even be able to see that in the world if they weren't somehow reflecting an aspect of our own self that we would prefer not to see. While it would be easy to wallow in shame, despair, denial, or hopelessness, we as noble spirits use this reflection to do deeper healing work on our own being. If we are going to change the world, we need to do the work on ourselves in tandem. A chicken or the egg, dance of evolution and healing. Through our awakening, the world awakens. And the concept of this, the word that I'm using for this is living alchemy. So the idea is that we as noble spirits are using specific practices and techniques that I would teach you. Don't worry, stay tuned, or come to my things. Use these practices to come. Oh, I lost myself there. Oh yeah, so reality. We have to come to reality. And in the reality, when we're able to face ourselves fully, so both our beauty and our talents and our excitement and the gifts that we have to offer the world, and there are places of power that are just waiting to come out, as well as the places that are in pain and the parts of ourselves that kind of tend to be reactive or like not so awesome sometimes, that when we start to embrace the entirety of ourselves, start to do the work on ourselves, we not shed, not alleviate, or not like, push away. We don't try to blind ourselves to it. We don't bury our heads in our sand. We embrace the fullness of who we are fully and completely. And then we begin to do the work using the practices as a way to transform or to transmute those parts of ourselves. We can come into greater remembrance of our wholeness, remembrance of the truth of what you really are and what the teachings have to say about that. And that can do a whole other post about what that means. But and then through that alchemical work on ourselves, so again, not trying to get rid of our darkness, but rather trying to embrace those parts of ourselves, and through the light of our awareness, being able to allow those parts of ourselves to, like the shadow, the moment you turn the light on, the shadows kind of dissipate. The moment you actually turn your awareness towards those parts of yourself, and there's lots of techniques and practices in order to allow you to do that, then those parts of ourselves begin to transform. And then through that transformation, through that alchemical process, we become living alchemy, where we go out into the world, and through our integrity and our kindness and the way that we embody ourselves, that we don't even have to do anything, that just through how we interact with the world around us, the world begins to transform, that it has a rippling effect. And I really have seen this to be true for myself, that the more awareness I bring to myself, the more times I'm able to embrace different parts of myself, the better of a friend, the better of a lover, the better of a daughter, the better of a sister, a teacher, a student, that I'm able to have, and I really am able to affect the world around me in a really powerful way. And truly, if I'm going to get really grandiose, I would love the idea of having the path of the noble spirit, that I'm empowering you all to go out there and be social justice warriors, and going out into the world and opening up NGOs and doing all that stuff. That's awesome, and I'm so on board with helping you in whatever way I can to get that going. But I think if we just do the work to like start to peer at our own selves, because like the same stuff that we're seeing out in the world is similar to aspects of ourselves that we are in denial of, and that's just true. And while I don't think that we don't have to wait until we're finished in order to make a difference in the world, I do think that there's like a chicken and an egg sort of deal, that as we start to see the things in the world that we want to change, and see the things in the world that like again fill us with despair and fill us with anger and hopelessness and all of these things, that we can also start to do the work on ourselves and healing and working through and transforming the parts of ourselves that are kind of actually like energetically similar to what we're seeing elsewhere. Again, so much to say about this, and I'm already 15 minutes into this video, so I don't want to take too much time so you're not bored to tears. But yeah, so this is what I'm really excited about. This is what I'm building, and I'm, again, gathering all the teachings from my years of practice, my years of study, and my going to university for philosophy, and diving deep into those teachings, and from the esoteric practices of Europe, of like the sort of like more earth-based practices that I've been studying for years, to the Kashmir Shaivism practices that I've been initiated into, to like therapy, to embodiment work and somatic experiencing, and how to heal trauma and how to become powerful, and like all of the work that I've ever learned in my life. I'm gathering it all to create a system of practices, a system of ways of navigating yourself and the world, so that we can become living alchemy, that we can, which is a process that's alive. It's not complete, it's not over, it's not done. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be finished. You can just start to do the work and continue to do the work, continue to wake up, continue to be what you are, because you're amazing. Anyone who tells you you're not is fucking lying to you. I swear a lot, sorry. I should maybe work on that, I don't know. But yeah, the belief that you are not worthy, or that you have to acquire something outside of yourself in order to be good enough, that your power has somehow been stripped from you and you have to get it back again. All of that is just lies. What's true is that you are infinitely powerful. What's true is that you are infinitely worthy. And it's not a matter of plucking a fruit from a tree and eating it in order to acquire it. It is about remembering the truth of what you are. And truly, that remembering has been glossed over by veils and walls of the people who are also in forgetting, and people who are, I don't want to get too conspiracy theory about it, but like, you know, we are being lied to consistently. You are powerful. You are beautiful. You are wonderful. You are everything you have ever needed to be. Anything that you've longed to be is already within you, or else you would not even be able to experience that longing. And there are ways, and there are methods, and there is hope. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope until our last breath gives out. There is hope until the last one of us allows ourselves to just fall into despair. And I think even then, in that moment of despair, there is still hope that we will rise again. I believe that fully and completely. And for those of you who are filled with despair right now, that open up your social media and seeing everything that's happening environmentally and politically and socially, what's happening in the world, like that despair is just an indication of how powerful your heart is. It's an indication of how much you have to give to this world. So do not give up. Do not give up. Use that despair, because it is a powerful force. Use that yearning and that longing to see the world be something different in order to activate that your initiation into this work. Okay. I think I'll stop there. I have more to say. I have lots more to say. But I will wait. I love you. I will be posting a video of a guided practice in the next few days. Again, sorry for being late. I wanted to do one video a week until the equinox. It just didn't happen last week. So 2 videos this week. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email or a message. Be in touch. Okay.